The title of our paper is The Organizational Dimensions as a Determinant of Village Apparatus Knowledge Sharing, Impacting Community Participation in Kerinci Regency. The rationale for village regulation is diversity, participation, autonomy, democratization, and community empowerment. One of the main determinants of the above effort's success is community participation in the entire village development process. Introductions. Okay, national development goals. The government gives maximum attention to development in rural areas. Rural development should lead to an increase in the welfare of rural communities. One who has a central role in village development is a village apparatus. And this is the roadmap of the implementations of Law 6/2014 about village in Kerinci districts with a target location in 18 districts and the 2,087 villages with the identification of village authority, and then village planning, and then village budgeting, and then allocation and distribution of funds, and then village financial management, and then village governance, and then property affairs, accompaniment, capacity building, asset management, procurement of village public goods and services, monitoring and participation oversight. And village apparatus are tasked to assist the village chairman in implementing the duties and authorities. To create apparatus at the forefront of the village potential empowerment program, village apparatus have to invite the community to participate in village development by increasing knowledge sharing of village apparatus. The literature review of our research, we use knowledge sharing with the, according to Dunn and Suzanne, said that knowledge sharing is an interaction between individuals and groups, between and across groups, and from group to organization. And then community participation. Community participation can enhance environmental decision-making with indicators of community participation being participation format, facilitation, context, characteristics of participation, and diversity of participations. And our organizational dimensions, we use 3 dimensions. They are organizational culture, organizational structure, and training. And the framework of our research, we can see that knowledge sharing as a mediating effect or mediating variable. And the research method, the method we use that explanatory research because it aims to analyze the relationship between variables and explain the influence of variables. This research was conducted in Kerinci Regency in Jambi province, and the subjects taken in the study were 108 respondents. And the sampling technique used purposive sampling technique, in which researchers can determine their own research subjects to be taken. Researchers' criteria determined to take the subject, namely the subject is village apparatus. The method used in collecting data is survey data with using questionnaire and interview, and the model testing technique in this study used structural equation model or SEM with using AMOS and analytical tool. And from a result full model structure equation modeling or SEM, we can see in this part or in this diagram. And for the first, we can see the model testing results divided into 4 testing feet. And we can see in this table that all of the testing fit with the criteria, and using with this research accepted because that criteria of full of the criteria. And then hypothesis test. We have 7 hypotheses, and testing the hypothesis of the relationship coefficient between variables or path using the critical ratio method. The critical ratio or CR value for each required path coefficient must be greater than or equal to 1.6 or significant level of 5%. And in this table, we can see that three hypotheses that for the first hypothesis testing 2, the estimated parameter of relationship between training and knowledge sharing is 0.2. It means that the relationship between the two variables shows that value of CR and the probability it's accepted. So it can be concluded about hypothesis 2 that training has a positive effect on knowledge sharing received. And then we can see at the hypothesis 4 that the conclude about hypothesis 4 that organizational structure has a positive effect on society participation received, because this is a result that data processing show that the probability value meets the requirement lower than 5%, and the value of CR 3.7 also meets the requirement greater than 1.6. And the last hypothesis testing 7, it means that we can conclude about hypothesis 7, knowledge sharing has a positive effect on society participation received, because the result of data processing show that the probability value just lower than 5%, and the critical ratio 2.9 meets the requirements of the criteria. And then at the next table, we can see the square multiple correlations. We can see that the knowledge sharing estimate, which means that knowledge sharing variability, which can be explained by organizational culture, organizational structure, and training variables, 9.4%. While the coefficient of determination in community participation equation is 33.7%, with the community participation variable can be explained by the organizational culture, and then organizational structure, training, and knowledge sharing. And in this, they are three tables. It means that at the path coefficient of direct effect, indirect effect, and also total effects. We can conclude in this table that the results of the can interpret that the direct effect of organizational culture, organizational structure, and training on society participation smaller than indirect effect. So it's conclude that the variable can mediate towards the society participation of village apparatus in Kerinci Regency, and the coefficient of the indirect effect is greater than the direct effects. And this is the path diagram of the results from the three tables above. And we can conclude from our research that first, the results show that the coefficient of determination knowledge sharing's influence could explain by the organizational dimension variables of organizational culture, structure, and training is 9.4%. And then the coefficient of community participations, which can be explained by the organization's variable dimensions, which is organizational culture, structure, training, and knowledge sharing, about 33.7%. And from testing the hypothesis that training positively and significantly affects knowledge sharing, organizational culture, organizational structure, training, and culture, and knowledge sharing influence community participation.